Alright guys, so take a look at this. We're going to take this one out for a test drive. This is Tiger Rally Explorer from Triumph. It's actually 1200 cc's. Look at how big that is. That's a pretty big bike. This one has the bigger gas tank. This thing is a monster. Wow. I am 6'4", and I don't know if you'd want to be any smaller than me to get on this thing. This thing is a beast. All right, let's see if we can figure out how to turn it on. Turn it on here, I believe, until everything comes up here. So this actually has a key fob. The key fob's right here, so you don't need a key. It's like a keyless thing. Pulling the clutch. I believe this is the start. Here, a little bit of a delay, which is kind of interesting. It takes a little bit to get used to on some of these bikes. Some of the little quirks. These are interesting mirrors. Take a look at this. It's kind of like a slanted tombstone mirror. I really like those mirrors. It has actually like a little light, like your blinker light right on the mirror. That's pretty awesome. This tank is huge. All right, so first impression, look, my legs come up right here. Fit really nice in this bike. Has a very upright stance. Let's put it in gear. See where the clutch is. Here. Oh, that's interesting. I put it in gear. It's giving it gas without me touching the gas. Look at that. Look at that. It must have like a computerized thing that when you start letting out the clutch, it automatically gives it gas. I've never seen that before. That is really fascinating. Wow. All right, so we're gonna take this thing for a ride. See if we can get a ride in this guy here. All right, so first impression, it's pretty bouncy. A lot of these bikes, these adventure bikes are pretty bouncy. Pretty nice, pretty nice. This one, I'd say, is one of the more stable ones on this thick gravel. Probably one of the most stable, I'd say. Some of those adventure bikes I was taking earlier are a little bit squirrely on this thicker gravel. This one seems really nice. And we are in sport mode, so this is the most aggressive mode. Oh, this is wild. It's actually giving it gas. I'm not giving it gas at all. It's like on cruise control, which is pretty wild. This bike is like automatic. Super automatic. It like rides itself, which is pretty wild. Then when I pull in the clutch, it stops giving it gas. That's really interesting. And then when you pull up to a stop, it's like the ground is really far down there. This bike is really tall. Wow. Nice pickup. Very nice pickup. All right, so we are not in a group this time. Sometimes we're in a group, sometimes we're not in a group. Let's see if we can figure out which way to go. We have to follow the yellow signs. So yeah, the whole the motorcycle giving it gas when the clutch is out, that is kind of a weird experience. Kind of a weird experience. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen in a bike. Huh. And the clutch, it's just kind of weird because look at that. I start giving it, just letting out the clutch, it gives it gas. It's like maybe a finger and a half on the clutch before the friction zone kicks in. All right, let's see here. Pretty fast. Ooh, we gotta turn here. We're turning here. Demo route. We're turning quick. All right. So yeah, it seems like it doesn't quite have the power that you would think to like lift up the front end. It has plenty of power, unless it's automatically like keeping the front end from lifting up. Let's see. That's interesting. It seems like it's very computer controlled. It's like the computer is trying to intervene in a lot of things on this bike, which is pretty wild. All right, so pretty fast. But it almost seems like the steering is being dampened or something, which gives it a kind of a weird kind of a feel to it. It feels really stable. It's almost like you're floating on a cloud. It's like it still has a little bit of a bump to it, but as far as moving it left and right, it's kind of hard to explain. It's like there's something going on with the steering, where it almost seems like the computer's helping you out to kind of make it stable, which is weird. It seems like it's helping you on the throttle and on the steering. So that little tiny windscreen's doing great, keeping all the wind off me. Got just a little bit of wind. Alright, so the seat is pretty firm on this one, but it's not really hurting me too much, so it's not too bad. Pretty good seat. Not really, I wouldn't call it a plush seat. I would call it maybe more of an off-road seat. These mirrors are really good. They're really bowed out. You can see a lot of stuff behind you. Pretty nice mirrors. This one needs to be adjusted a little bit. As far as the stability on the road, seems very stable, very planted. Not bad at all. As far as any heat coming off, so far I can't feel any heat. Of course, we haven't been riding that long. You know, some of these bikes, they have, serious heat problems where you just like the engine's cooking you. But on this one, doesn't seem like so far. I'll let you know in about 10 minutes. We'll see what the heat situation is after we ride this thing a while. But sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes it's kind of like a delayed effect. So once the bike gets hot, it can really change the whole dynamics as far as what's kind of heating up. Sometimes it just heats on both legs. Sometimes it heats like just on one foot, where one foot will get hot. So it really depends on the bike. Wow. Yeah, this bike. It seems like there's kind of a sweet spot as far as the RPM. When you first start out, it doesn't have a lot of low end torque. But once you hit that sweet spot, then you just take off where it feels like you can lift up the front end once you hit a certain RPM on this. The wind going 50 is pretty choppy. Pretty choppy. Almost to the point where almost getting a little buffeting. I don't know if you can adjust that windscreen. It looks like you can. Just slightly shaking my head around a little bit. It's pretty loud wind, pretty choppy. It's not as bad as some. I've been on some where it's pretty bad. Of course, today we're like riding into a storm and it's really windy. There's a lot of crosswind and choppy wind anyway, so that could be part of it right there. Alright, so let's see, we're going 50 miles an hour, 6th gear. We're at 3,000 RPM. So, highway riding. You could probably go 75 or 80, but any more than that, I would think it'd be pretty buzzy. If you get higher RPMs and higher speeds, it can be kind of buzzy. Especially up through the handlebars. But it doesn't seem buzzy at all. Like right now it seems really smooth. Really smooth. You can definitely feel the bumps. It's a firm suspension. It's not too bad. Of course, it's not really a highway cruiser. It's an adventure bike. But the thing that kind of surprises me is the steering. The steering is like just kind of moving it back and forth. It's like really unexpected. It feels like it has a really big, huge, fat front tire on it, but it doesn't, which is weird. And I think that's the computer kind of controlling it, or something in there, some kind of a dampening in the front end. That's really dampening the kind of the twitchiness of the front end. What else can I tell you about this bike? The other thing that's kind of interesting on this one, it seems like the grips are pretty thin. Like it has thinner than normal grips, which is an interesting effect. As far as the heat coming off the bike, not noticing anything really. Nothing really. We've been going for a while. It's not like the heat's like burning me up or anything. As far as the sound, it has a good sound to it. Almost has a really muffled, almost like a Harley kind of a choppy sound when you give it gas, which is pretty. Actually, the sound sounds pretty good, but it's really quiet. You really can't hear much sound at all unless you're really getting on the gas. So I actually see that there's lines in the road, like those little I don't know what you call them. Sometimes those lines can kind of throw you around, the little tiny micro lines in the road. And this seems like it's plowing over those lines, no problem at all. It's not like moving me around, which is good. I got a bad feeling about that storm coming up. It looks like there's a lot of rain in front of us. Yeah, this is a really nice bike. It has a very upright stance. I love the sound and the acceleration. The back brakes are pretty normal. The front brakes, ooh, the front brakes are really good. Front brakes are really super good. The other thing that kind of that's kind of weird is that once you hit the first gear, usually on the first gear on a motorcycle, it once you get down to the first gear, it's solid. This one almost looks like when you get into first gear, it kind of has like a spring at the bottom where you hit first gear and you try to go down one more gear and it's kind of like springy, which is weird. It's like you're trying to go down a gear and it's like you're like you hit this big patch of like swamp mud or something that your foot's stuck in. It's like it's the weirdest sensation going past first, trying to go down past first, and there's nothing there but just this big spongy spring at the bottom, which is pretty wild. Has good acceleration, not too bad. As far as buzziness in the handlebars, a little bit of buzziness at higher RPM, but that's kind of expected for a bike like this. I'd say this is probably one of the best. Alright, so handling this thick gravel pretty good, not too bad. No real heat coming off of it, which is nice. Pretty nice, pretty nice. This is a Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer. It's pretty nice. I like the green on this one. That first gear, I go past first gear and it's like just mush. It kind of freaks me out. It's kind of funny. It's so tall. I can't believe how tall this bike is. It's incredibly tall. That's kind of the other thing that's pretty wild on this bike. All right, I'm actually just going to set it right here so I can get some B-roll of this motorcycle. Pretty awesome bike. Would I buy this bike? Yes. I would buy this bike. All right, so let's see how easy it is to get into neutral. I missed it the first time. I got it the second time. All right, there you go. Key fob attached to the bike. Got a big old aluminum kickstand on this one. It is so tall. It is incredibly tall. That's probably as tall as the Pan America, I'd say, which is pretty wild. All right, so there you have it. That is the Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer 2023. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming along, and I will see you next time.